Reporter asked, "Is it a budget gimmick that we're seeing from Washington?" I say, "Yes, as usual. Quacks like, walks like, acts like." Man, that's a duck. Truth is, if it existed, we wouldn't know. We would only see what they show. Biden says 3.5 trillion has to be cut back to 1.5 trillion. Does this mean funding all programs existing and new with less funding, or plans to cut existing programs? Sounds like a gimmick to me. Richmond says the unity of purpose needs to bring down the cost of medication, prescription drugs, and health care. Make sure that we have the child care tax credit cut, taxes for the working families, to focus on what programs they are going to deliver, how they ensure that they have uh, the means to meet the needs and um, vision of the president. So fund some more programs or fund them all. Funding some with indefinite funding to run indefinitely, or all of them with budget caps to possibly go out of business later, or not being renewed at expiration. Richmond said that the tax credit for children raised um, raised raised 50% of Americans. I'm sorry. It said Richmond said that the tax credit for children raised 50% of Americans out of poverty. Senator McCain says we can't even pay for essential social security programs like Social Security and Medicare. This is the definition of fiscal insanity, spending trillions more on new and expanded government programs. Now go figure, more and more immigrants coming to visit, if not to permanently reside in the U.S. I touched on this with the newly emancipated Taliban in the US of A, inviting them willingly with transportation. And you have the vice president asking of the countries to be, basically our front line to protect our borders, patrol the borders for the United States. Those countries believe that it's in their nation's interest not to support the U.S., meaning that, like I said before, countries believe that it's not in their interest. Um, it's not in their national interest to support the U.S. simply because, they feel like that's our job to take care of home. Um, those countries believe that it's in their national interest not to support the U.S. Just like I said before, the borders are not being protected, and they're not being patrolled sufficiently. Our security and our safety is at jeopardy. Reports says thousands and thousands of people are crossing, 20,000 at a time. The borders are being breached at Texas, Arizona, as well as New Mexico. This is more than a crisis. What needs to be happening is some decisive action and precise execution on protecting our country and our borders. The United States Mexico border, the important United States Canada border, and most importantly, the United States and Russian maritime borders. Sourcing out any threat here within our country and eliminating any threat lurking around our borders and international waters, or terrorizing groups or individuals jeopardizing humanities of civil society, ours. Now, mind you, Joe Biden is the same president coming into presidency talking about he's going to show competency. How competent is he? Like I said before, the media needs to stop filming, you know, take Joe Biden off the air, all talk, talk, talk. Infrastructure bill spending, um, but no money spent for the American people. Bills get passed, monies change hands, and communities fall further and further into poverty. I mean, like I said before, I can't make this stuff up, you know. The Bishops' Conference in France is said to release findings in 2,500 pages report on Tuesday. The 21 member panel had access to a church, court, and police archives and interviewed witnesses, hundreds of investigative reporters from around the world, including the Washington Post report on secret financial records, news from around the world about secret bank accounts and companies designed to hide assets, a quote, secret and financial universe that benefits the wealthy and powerful, and some of these people are foreigners and citizens of the United States. They have ties to people and companies, millions of dollars from outside the United States, and these people and companies are accused of human rights violations, human trafficking, human labor camps, um, just the utmost atrocities, but yet this government is still doing business with these people. Um, it was said that, um, it's basically sleeping with the enemy. Man, here we go with the Romans in the pedophile, back in the day of the Papal Church, they used to rape and sodomize kids. Some, started at the age of 1. Reports French church in operation today said some 3,000 pedophiles in the French church, French Catholic Church since 1950. The French Catholic Church, and between 2,800 to 3,200 was the quote for the minimum estimate of pedophile victims. David Harris, he was tasked with investigating crimes against children, including child pornography. When David Harris himself was the pedophile. This is the same system that wants trust and obedience from the American people. Follow the rules and the laws set. I keep saying I'm confused. This is the same government who had to source out a pedophile within its own government administration at the FBI, who was assigned to investigate and track down and incarcerate and convict pedophiles. So you mean you're so smart, but you hired a pedophile to track down pedophiles at the same time you were clueless about the employed pedophile surfing the internet for child porn and performing pedophilia acts with minors. He said that they have to be in their teens. I'm not a weirdo. Or he would move to Kentucky where 16 is legal age of consent. Go figure, Kentucky, right? Mind you, this makes no sense, Go figure, Kentucky would be the spot, right? Mind you, this man worked for the FBI for decades, so nobody knew of. My question is, who else knew, or who else is a pedophile that's not found out yet until forced out by circumstances or, the Baphomet blackmail? America would be, basically, it's supposed to be no man left behind, you know what I mean? But basically they throw the American people under the bus. And, they're constantly pulling out aid to the Taliban, with munitions and cash, and basically leaving humans over there, basically as a human sacrifice. You know, American women and children, like I said, American people are expendable, not in my eyes, but in the eyes of Joe Biden. That's all that you show me. 6 years ago, Joe Biden said, "No man left behind." 2021, you left Americans behind. You showed your ass because you left Americans behind, showing your true colors. I thought as a black man I was doomed in America because of its forefathers' culture of racial systemic order. It's actually a thin line, but I see all Americans are doomed because of the systematic order of Joe Biden and his decision making for the US of A. Mandates, infringements on freedoms, you know. The reality is that I'm not I'm not being treated equal, you know. The people aren't being treated equal. And I mean, not to say anything in regards to race, you know, not just because I'm a black man, but because, um, you know, every person under the Joe Biden administration is being forced under mandates. Basically, everybody is equal. Every person, you know, is required to be. Um, all you see now is